Welcome to our journey through the captivating history of the F-47, one of aviation's most intriguing chapters. In the decades following the Second World War, military aviation underwent a remarkable transformation that forever changed the landscape of aerial warfare. The development of the F-47 stands as a testament to human ingenuity and determination in the face of complex challenges. This mysterious aircraft program, shrouded in secrecy for many years, represents a fascinating intersection of technological innovation and strategic necessity during a pivotal time in world history. The story of the F-47 begins in the early 1950s, amid the escalating tensions of the Cold War. Military planners and engineers were faced with an urgent need to counter emerging threats from across the Iron Curtain. The existing fleet of fighter aircraft, while impressive for their time, was rapidly becoming outdated against new Soviet designs appearing in the skies. This realization prompted the United States Air Force to commission a new generation of aircraft that would push the boundaries of what was previously thought possible. The project was given the designation F-47, and it would soon become one of the most ambitious aircraft development programs of its era. What makes the F-47 particularly noteworthy is how it challenged conventional thinking about aircraft design and capability. Prior to this program, fighter jets were primarily designed for either speed or maneuverability, with few aircraft excelling at both. The F-47 development team was tasked with creating a platform that could achieve unprecedented performance across multiple parameters, essentially rewriting the rulebook of fighter aircraft design. This ambitious goal attracted some of the brightest minds in aerospace engineering, who were eager to solve the seemingly impossible technical challenges that lay ahead. Their collective efforts would eventually produce innovations that continue to influence aircraft design to this day. The technological hurdles facing the F-47 program were formidable by any standard. Engineers needed to develop new materials capable of withstanding extreme temperatures and stresses, while simultaneously reducing weight to improve performance. The propulsion systems required for the aircraft's intended capabilities exceeded anything available at the time, necessitating parallel development of revolutionary new engine designs. Additionally, the electronics and control systems needed to manage such an advanced aircraft represented a quantum leap beyond existing technology. Despite skepticism from many quarters, the program proceeded under a veil of strict classification, with only a select few aware of its true scope and ambition. As work on the F-47 progressed, it became clear that this was no ordinary aircraft program. The resources allocated to its development reflected its importance to national security interests during a period of intense international rivalry. Testing facilities were constructed in remote locations to maintain secrecy, while specialized manufacturing processes were developed specifically for the program. The costs were substantial, but military leadership remained committed to seeing the project through to completion. What they envisioned was not merely another incremental improvement to the air fleet, but rather a revolutionary new capability that would fundamentally alter the strategic balance of power in the skies for decades to come. The chronology of the F-47 development reflects the complicated nature of pioneering new aerospace technologies during the Cold War era. Initial concept work began in 1952, with preliminary designs emerging from top-secret facilities in California and Washington State. The first wind tunnel tests, conducted in 1954, revealed promising results, but also highlighted significant engineering challenges that would need to be overcome. By 1956, the program had advanced to the prototype stage, with the first experimental airframe taking shape under extraordinary security measures at a classified facility in the Nevada desert. These early prototypes bore little resemblance to conventional aircraft of the period, featuring radical new aerodynamic concepts that puzzled outside observers, who occasionally glimpsed them during test flights. Colonel James Harrington, the military officer who initially championed the F-47 program, deserves special recognition for his unwavering support during those critical early years. Despite facing institutional resistance and budget constraints, Harrington skillfully navigated the bureaucratic obstacles that threatened to derail the project numerous times. His background as both a decorated combat pilot and an engineering graduate gave him unique insights into the operational requirements and technical possibilities of the program. Working alongside Harrington was Dr. Eleanor Reeves, a brilliant aerodynamicist whose theoretical work provided the foundation for many of the F-47's most innovative features. Her mathematical models challenged prevailing assumptions about supersonic flight and opened new avenues for exploration. The technical development team was led by the legendary aircraft designer Robert Keller, whose previous work had revolutionized bomber design during World War II. Keller assembled an extraordinary group of specialists from diverse backgrounds, many of whom had never worked on military projects before. This unorthodox approach brought fresh perspectives to long-standing problems and fostered a creative environment where unconventional ideas were encouraged rather than dismissed. One such innovation came from Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, a materials scientist whose work with experimental alloys produced the lightweight but incredibly strong airframe components that made the F-47's performance possible. These materials, developed specifically for the program, later found applications in numerous civilian and space technologies. By 1959, the first functional prototype, designated XF-47A, made its maiden flight from the secret test facility, piloted by Major Thomas Reynolds, who would later describe the experience as unlike anything in the history of aviation. This initial flight lasted only 27 minutes, but demonstrated that the fundamental concept was sound, despite requiring numerous refinements. Over the next 3 years, the test program expanded to include 5 prototype aircraft, each introducing improvements based on data gathered from previous flights. The testing phase was not without setbacks, including the tragic loss of the third prototype and its pilot during high-speed maneuver testing in 1961, a sobering reminder of the risks inherent in pushing technological boundaries. The program reached a crucial milestone in 1963 when the first production model, now designated F-47D Phantom, was delivered to a specialized Air Force unit for operational evaluation. This version incorporated significant improvements over the prototypes, including an enhanced propulsion system that delivered 20% more thrust while consuming less fuel. The avionics package represented a quantum leap forward, featuring an integrated radar and weapons control system that was decades ahead of its time. Perhaps most impressively, the F-47D incorporated rudimentary stealth features that reduced its radar cross-section significantly compared to contemporary fighters, foreshadowing developments that would not become mainstream until the 1980s. When examining the F-47 program from a technical perspective, several innovations stand out as particularly significant. The aircraft's unique wing design, which could subtly alter its shape during flight to optimize performance at different speeds and altitudes, represented a breakthrough in aerodynamic control. This adaptive geometry provided unprecedented stability at supersonic speeds while maintaining excellent maneuverability in subsonic combat scenarios. The propulsion system, developed specifically for the F-47, utilized advanced thermodynamic principles to achieve remarkable efficiency across the entire flight envelope. These engines were so advanced that several of their key components remained classified until the early 1990s, long after the F-47 had been retired from active service. The cockpit instrumentation developed for the F-47 presaged the modern glass cockpit concept by integrating multiple information sources into simplified displays that reduced pilot workload during complex missions. Test pilots reported that despite the aircraft's extraordinary performance envelope, it was surprisingly intuitive to fly thanks to these advanced control systems. The weapon systems were equally forward-thinking, with provisions for both conventional armaments and several classified special weapons that remain undisclosed to this day. Perhaps most impressive was the aircraft's electronic warfare suite, which could actively jam enemy radar systems using techniques that would not become standard until decades later. A particularly fascinating aspect of the F-47 program was its inadvertent contribution to the UFO phenomena of the 1950s and 1960s. The aircraft's unusual appearance and flight characteristics, combined with its highly classified nature, led to numerous sightings by civilians that could not be officially explained. Internal Air Force documents, declassified in the 1990s, reveal that several famous UFO incidents of the period were actually misidentified F-47 test flights. These incidents were neither confirmed nor denied at the time, providing convenient cover for the classified program. Some historians have suggested that military officials may have deliberately encouraged some of these misidentifications to distract attention from the actual nature of the project. The materials science developments stemming from the F-47 program had particularly far-reaching implications. The high-temperature alloys developed for the engine components later found applications in commercial jet engines, significantly improving their safety and efficiency. Similarly, the specialized composites created for the airframe structure eventually made their way into civilian aircraft, reducing weight and improving fuel economy across the aviation industry. Even more significantly, some of the electronic components miniaturized for the F-47's systems represented early steps in the revolution that would eventually lead to modern computing devices. Several key patents emerging from the program formed the foundation for technologies we now take for granted. The operational history of the F-47 remains partially classified even today, but declassified documents confirm that the aircraft saw limited deployment in several sensitive missions during the mid-1960s. Its exceptional performance made it ideal for specialized reconnaissance work in denied airspace, where its speed and low observability allowed it to operate with relative impunity. In one documented instance from 1965, an F-47 successfully completed a mission that had previously been attempted and abandoned by 3 other aircraft types due to the density of air defenses in the target area. The pilot later reported that, despite multiple radar sites tracking in his vicinity, no interception was ever attempted, suggesting that the aircraft's electronic countermeasures were highly effective. The impact of the F-47 program extends far beyond the relatively small number of aircraft actually produced. Perhaps its most significant legacy lies in the methodologies developed to solve the immense technical challenges it presented. The systems engineering approach pioneered during the program became the template for subsequent advanced aircraft development, establishing processes that are still used today. The integration of computer modeling into the design process, though primitive by modern standards, represented a fundamental shift in how complex aerospace systems were developed. This methodological innovation arguably contributed more to subsequent aviation progress than any specific technology developed for the aircraft itself. From a strategic perspective, the capabilities demonstrated by the F-47 fundamentally altered military planning on both sides of the Iron Curtain. When intelligence about the program eventually reached Soviet planners, it prompted a massive investment in new air defense systems and fighter aircraft. This reallocation of resources had significant ripple effects throughout the Soviet military-industrial complex, potentially contributing to economic strains that would later play a role in the Cold War's outcome. The F-47 thus achieved a strategic impact far exceeding its limited numbers, demonstrating how technological superiority in key areas could have disproportionate effects on the overall balance of power. The conclusion of the F-47 program came not from technical failure, but from changing strategic requirements and budgetary considerations. By the late 1960s, shifting priorities had directed funding toward other defense initiatives, and the F-47 production line was closed after delivering approximately 60 operational aircraft. These remarkable machines continued to serve in specialized roles until the early 1980s, when advancing technology and maintenance challenges finally led to their retirement. The final flight of an F-47 took place on September 12, 1983, when the last operational example was delivered to the National Air and Space Museum's classified storage facility, where it reportedly remains to this day, still waiting for declassification, complete enough to allow public display. The legacy of the F-47 lives on in the modern aircraft that incorporate many of its innovations in more mature forms. The stealth technology pioneered in rudimentary form on the F-47 eventually evolved into the sophisticated systems used on current generation fighters and bombers. Similarly, the advanced materials first developed for the program have become standard in aerospace applications worldwide. Perhaps most importantly, the F-47 demonstrated that seemingly impossible performance goals could be achieved through focused innovation and cross-disciplinary collaboration. A lesson that continues to inspire aerospace engineers facing today's challenges. The program stands as a testament to human ingenuity and the remarkable progress that can be achieved when talented individuals are given the resources and freedom to pursue ambitious goals. As we reflect on the history of the F-47, we are reminded of how technological advancement often occurs in unexpected leaps rather than steady incremental progress. The visionaries who conceived this remarkable aircraft and the dedicated engineers who brought it to life created something that transcended the limitations of their era. Their work established new possibilities that subsequent generations have built upon, creating a lasting impact that extends far beyond the original program. While much about the F-47 remains classified, what we do know confirms its place as one of the most significant aircraft development programs in history. A perfect example of how innovation can change the course of technological evolution, and by extension, human history itself.